All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So we got a lot to talk about in today's stream. We're going to start off by talking about this massive Bitcoin hack that everybody's talking about. I've seen people, say, talking about this online everywhere I look, from Twitter to all the major crypto outlets. So we're going to weigh on this, understand, demystify what happened. Also talk about some of the controversial questions around this, like how are these funds recovered? What do people have access to? We're talking about that. We're looking at a lot of the news updates that have happened in the space. We have a brand new crypto social media app that's launching. We've talked about a lot on this channel that looks pretty promising. Talking about Apple announcing mainstream crypto payments inside of Apple Pay. A lot of other crazy stuff like that. So we're going to answer some of your questions, check on the crypto markets, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. Get started today. All right, we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Ethan, Robert, Automatic Beats, Above Reality, Madison, Tina, Lee, Technically, Nate, Chad, Norris, Patrick. Welcome. All right. So let's jump into this. I'm going to invite my co-host onto the stream today. So if y'all are just tuning in the streams of the past couple weeks, maybe this is your first time, I've got Walshy here. He's helping me prepare for these live streams, helping us fill in the details to add value here. If you want to go find Walshy and submit ideas that you want to talk about on our stream, you can find him on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle, Walshy?
Yeah, hey, it's I am Walshy NFG. GM, everybody.
So it looks like it's just on your like just printed on your screen there, right?
Yeah, right down there. Exactly.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, let me know if you have any great story ideas, guys. DMs are open.
Awesome. Very cool. So let's get into this. Let's talk about let me just share my screen here. This crazy Bitcoin hack that everybody's been talking about. All right. So I want to clarify exactly what happened. So this is actually a hack that happened with Bitfinex back in 2016. All right. So the actual hack itself took place a long time ago, like probably way before most anybody watched this video was in the crypto space. It was a big deal back then, but the funds have actually just been recovered. Okay. And, a couple of people that are associated with this in some form or fashion, the details are still kind of coming out on this, are now in custody. Okay. And also, there's a lot of controversial, takes on this because the funds were actually recovered by the authorities, and people are saying, how did this happen? What could happen to somebody else's crypto? All that type of stuff. So let's get into the details of the individuals who were associated with this when they were taken into custody. Like, basically, what was the bombshell that made this break, Walshy?
Yeah, this is so apparently they stored their private keys in the cloud, and so this is essentially how the wallet itself was able to be broken. But yeah, like you said, this is related to the 2016 Bitfinex hack. It was 120,000 BTC that was hacked at the time, so it's worth about 70 million then, and now it's worth about 4.5 billion itself. However, the police seized about 3.6 billion of those funds. In fact, there's a great picture of the cops standing around the $3.6 billion.
Oh yeah.
And it's of course just a hardware wallet, so just a little USB dongle on a table, but the most amount of money you could ever see in the smallest device.
I saw that picture floating around online for sure. So yeah, basically, it's right, two individuals, right, who were associated with this. Now, I want to be very clear: the people who were brought to or in custody, okay, are not. We don't necessarily know for sure if they are the people who initially did the hack, right? There's we're saying that they are potentially money launderers in this situation, that they're potentially fall guys for this operation. There's a lot of details that are not clear at this point. Also, some alternative speculation about what the truth might actually be, even based on the reported details. You got any more info on that, Walshy?
I wish beyond just speculation, but you're totally correct there. When all is said and done, they've got some pretty egregious online presence, and This has made them well known, and it paints a picture of a lot of people questioning whether or not, again, the official narrative is really the real story, and whether or not, like you said, they're just the fall guys in the situation because of again, some of their very interesting online personas and the cringe-inducing videos that are out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree though. We don't really know 100% if they are the hackers. It's not definitive at this point. There's a lot of, he who must not be named, killed himself memes out there saying, hey, if that was possible, maybe this is possible, and they're putting the blame, the onus on these people. Again, it's all speculative when all is said and done. We don't really know quite yet until the facts are actually on the table. It's funny though, if you're actually looking at the situation and watching it all. We're not going to show the video. Absolutely not.
Oh,
no.
Yeah. That's not going to work on YouTube. I'll let your curiosity get the best of you there. So let's talk about one of the most controversial aspects of this, though, is how the funds were actually recovered. Okay. So we see a lot of funny comments in the chat here, wallets in the cloud, LMFAO, and like a lot of O's trailing after that. So let's actually get to that. So a lot of people are saying, well, how crazy is this? Like how on earth, like why on earth would you store, private keys and wallets in the cloud? And that's because that's what's made this able to be recovered. Well, there's one really important point here, which is, let me just find it. Hold on. And see it. So, you have to understand that these were encrypted wallets, though. Okay, now some people say that's still even stupid to store encrypted wallets in the cloud. I totally get that, but here's the key point: is that the storage was encrypted, and law enforcement officials decrypted the information. All right, so that begs the question of how did they do that? All right, so did they obtain some sort of encryption key that allowed them to do this? Were the perpetrators, also reckless in how they store their encryption keys? That is a distinct possibility. We don't know. Or were they able to crack the encryption in some form or another, with some sort of advanced technique that we may not be aware of? Or were they able to, let's say, maybe not necessarily by computing power, but were they able to actually coordinate with someone else who had such abilities? All right, there's all kinds of questions, and the real question that the meta question that brings us back to is this: could this happen to you? Could this happen to somebody else? Now, I think the likelihood of that happening, if you're just kind of honest from that happening from the authorities, is probably pretty low, right? But the question is, if they have that power, who else could have that power, right? Who else could obtain that? It's sort of how I feel about like data online. It's like you're always giving this data over to Web 2.0 companies, and sure, those companies might be as honest as possible, right? Like they may just be totally straight shooters that are 100% ethical with how they treat your data. But what if they're not good at custodying your data and they get hacked, and then now all the information they took from you is like used on the dark web, right? So it's a similar type of thing. Like, there's powers out there that can be used for good. There's powers out there that can be used for bad. Let's just for the sake of taking these at face value, assume that the officials and authorities here have only good intentions and only use those powers for good. Let's say that's just true, just from an argumentation standpoint. Well, if those powers are then co-opted by someone who has bad intentions, then that's not good. So those are the kind of questions that are lingering around this. It kind of freaks people out that this much Bitcoin could get recovered that I don't say that easily, but that this happened.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't have much to add there. I think you posed some really great questions about how they're able to access the funds, especially when it comes to quantum computing, etc. I think what is interesting to note, and we actually made this point, I think it was either last week or it was like really early this week. There's definitely law enforcement entities in the space, and again, it's blockchain, so everything's very visible. And this case just shows like how involved and how meticulously the authorities are really watching the blockchain, how they have services out there that are analyzing and checking for transactions. Now, obviously, like the wallet that was used to hack the actual exchange was being watched just like a hawk. So once the funds started moving last week, it was, the authorities were still watching it and they're still there. But again, it should, for everyone else, just take note that, like, again, do your taxes, be responsible. You're not going to get away with stuff. Again, be responsible. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, totally. Almost, you don't hear about many massive crypto hacks that happen these days where the people get away with it. And as you can see, like, this is a story where people thought they got away with it for a very long time. And then, 6 years later, you get totally busted, right? So you might think you got away with it for who knows however long. You might think, oh, watching the Bitcoin price go up and you're a billionaire, until you have literally nation states, knocking at your door in the middle of the night. You're probably not knocking at your door. They're probably busting down your door. So yeah, you may not sleep all night if you do something like that. So anyways, we see a comment in the chat here that was saying, SHA-256 was developed by the NSA, just saying. So we don't exactly know what the encryption algorithm that was used to break this, or if it was broken, or if they obtained an encryption key. We don't know all the details. Yeah, it's an interesting take for sure. So, but this also does go back to just basic crypto security. So let's just assume that everybody watching this video is totally honest actor, has no intentions of doing a hack of any kind. It's probably a pretty safe assumption for almost everybody out there, maybe even everybody. So let's go with that assumption. This also is just an important thing about how you custody your crypto in the first place, right? So if you keep a private key in the cloud, even if it's encrypted, that's probably not the best way to go, right? Giving crypto custody storage advice is almost like giving financial advice, because it's sort of like there's always risk in every security scheme that you devise for yourself. But I'll just put it this way. Well, outline there's significant risk with storing things in the cloud, because basically all that has to happen is that, some sort of hacker is able to obtain that file, even if it's encrypted. Let's say you store your encryption keys somewhere else. If they can get that too, of course, they need two things, which is harder, but still, if they have those two pieces of information, your crypto is gone. It's GONE, gone. And there's nothing you can do about it. So, I've got some videos on my channel about how to custody your crypto and some strategy you can do that. There's no one perfect way. There's risks associated with every single thing. Even if you use a hardware wallet, the manufacturer of the hardware wallet could upgrade the firmware and, make you KYC, or maybe, they get hacked and then all your customer information gets leaked to the dark web, like happened with some other hardware wallets, which I'm not going to name on the channel. But there's, you just got to be careful when you're talking about crypto.
Yeah, again, a lot of chatter in chat saying maybe it's inside job, and again, that's all speculation, guys. So you think of these well-renowned developers and serial entrepreneurs and tech gurus, and even one of them claimed that she was able to social engineer her way into anything. I think to be a little bit smarter than to put something that's so obvious on a public cloud server. So.
Yeah, there's lots of
speculation, guys. That is all speculation until it's always innocent until proven guilty in that sense. So definitely fair chat.
We see some psyops commentary in the chat for sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, anyways. So we got a lot of good commentary on this. So we'll answer. There's probably more people coming in the video who were curious about this topic. We'll probably see some more questions that come into the chat. So we'll probably circle back around this toward the end of the stream. I want to cover a couple more really important things that happened in the space yesterday. Somebody says, I lost my 2FA codes and I'm screwed, but wallet keys. Yeah. Don't lose your wallet keys. You have to really. Somebody says, what happened? Please enlighten. So you never go back and rewatch the stream, but basically, a huge Bitfinex hack happened back in 2016. Those funds have been recovered, and two suspects involved in this hack have been taken into custody, and the private keys to their crypto containing $3.6 billion have been recovered. Well, it was more than that was in there, but they recovered 3.6. Isn't that right, Walshy?
Yeah, exactly. It was worth 4.5, but they recovered 3.6.
Yeah. So it wasn't that amount when they stole it in 2016. We also don't have total clarification on the people who have been brought into custody, what their role was in this entire thing. But they are they have him brought to custody, and there's lots of people who are freaking out saying, hey, how did they recover these funds? Like, is your crypto safe?
Maybe that adds credence to the fact that there is a certain point where there's just too much money to spend, right? They got the 1.5 and they couldn't even break $1 billion on it,
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's talk about I want to talk about, we'll circle back around this because there's going to be people jumping the stream who have questions about it, but let's talk about the Aave social media platform. So this is something I've covered on my channel a lot. I think crypto social media is a nut that's ready to be cracked or to crack. We've tried a lot of social media experiments with Web 3.0 and crypto. Here's why I think we are at the, here's why I think that we are at almost like an inflection point where this can actually work. First of all, Vitalik Buterin, the mastermind behind Ethereum himself, actually talked about this at EthCC last year. Okay, talking about one of the biggest reasons that we were ready to start working on a crypto social network is because, scaling is upon us. All right. We are starting to scale blockchains, particularly with Ethereum and layer 2 solutions. And then whenever, sharding rolls out for ETH 2.0, that'll get that additional scalability benefit. But you want to start now. All right. Because there's plenty of adoption, plenty of users on chain who can start experimenting with this early with layer 2s. Okay. And then once all that stuff sort of gets ready, we can coalesce around all the pieces that come together, and then you can actually sort of reach that hockey stick adoption that's likely to occur if this use case is actually sticky and takes off. So we've seen lots of fail. That's why I think we are ready right now to go ahead and start pushing crypto social media in some form or fashion. Other reasons are the Web 3.0 narrative is really starting to take off. People are like it's already bubbled up to the popular mainstream, right? Because people know about NFTs. Elon Musk is out there talking about Web 3.0. Not always good things to say, but it's a keyword. I'm seeing around like meme accounts on Instagram and stuff that are like not even closely related to crypto. So the time there's fertile soil to plant this tree now. It's not going to take off overnight, but it's ready in my opinion. Okay. So we've seen crypto social networks fail in the past. A lot of, I think, because of these scaling issues, right? Because who wants to pay all this money to store information on a blockchain, but also because the business models weren't necessarily correct. Like a lot of it was just sort of like pay to play or pay to consume or pay to engage. And it was kind of these broken business models that didn't actually stick and gain adoption. Okay. So let's actually talk about the social media app that has been launched here. Let me pull up the link on my screen. I'm going to let Walshy kind of give us the details on this. Let me just find it. So this is Lens, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Lens protocol. Really hyped about this. Like you said, Stanny from Aave is one of the masterminds behind this. It's important to note this isn't the first Web3 social media out there. I'm sure a lot of our viewers would recognize like BitClout, for instance. So this isn't the first, but it does cover a lot of bases and is very unique. It definitely is a very NFT heavy as well, which I'll get into in a second here. But
before we get into all the details, let me also pause and say that Sani. So Sani is the founder of Aave. Okay, and let me also tell why this is important. Okay, so he's a great founder in the space, great leader, huge track record. Not somebody who just got in early, got lucky, but is really capable of like pulling stuff off. Okay. So if you weren't here, let me tell you why the Aave platform is so significant. Okay. So Aave, if you're not familiar with it, is a savings and lending app, right? They started off as ETH Lend. Okay. That was their early brand. Okay. And they launched the Lend token with an ICO. So, if you've been in space for a long time, you probably remember ICOs. If you're new, you may not have ever, participated in ICO or seen what happened. But ICOs kind of had this wave of excitement, and they kind of died out. And a lot of people thought ICO projects were totally scams, right? But ETH Lend had an ICO. All right. And they launched their Lend platform from that. And almost everybody who launched an ICO, like vast majority of them just died off. They may have either taken the money and run, or the incentives were broken, and they never actually shipped anything useful long term. But that's not what they did. Okay. They actually had an ICO. The token price tanked like crazy, just like everybody else's did, the 2018 bear market. and they built Aave. They built ETH lend out and they rebranded the Aave. And in 2020, late 2019, like prehistoric bull run, the Aave token, along with Synthetics and a couple others, were like the morning star of this bull run that have experienced. Okay, like it was, I was in on that early run. Okay, and so it was like one of the first tokens to actually start popping off when everybody thought nobody cared about tokens. But no, people were actually accumulating the Aave token, or back when it was the Lens token, the Synthetics token, and a couple others, and they totally popped off. And we rebranded to Aave. Aave's gained a lot of traction, and so I give you all that backstory to say, the person who is leading that entire effort has created this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, quite a monumental figure in the space for sure.
That's kind of a long explanation, but like just giving you context.
Exactly right. This is one of the largest reputable figures, and it's Danny. Absolutely. So again, if you don't know who he is, Gregory just did a great job in bringing you up to speed. Issues with like social media today are pretty obvious, and he hopes to, of course, rectify this with the Lens protocol. Social media is centralized. There's just arbitrary censorship. There's a lot of big tech human biases that lead to just social media manipulation through algorithms. There's caustic content out there, of course, that polarize a lot of people, and we all feel this. You know, this is just kind of obvious. This is something most likely you inherently feel subconsciously or very consciously. But Lens Protocol wants to rectify all this, and through several different ways. But NFTs are the name of the game when it comes to Lens Protocol. Everything is basically an NFT, and so this goes hand in hand with what we've been reporting all week, that NFTs are really making a big name for themselves in 2022. So it's on Polygon. This is extremely important to note first. So of course, it's not directly on ETH. And the premise here, of course, is that content is king, and your users, honestly, the amount of users, that's the game everyone goes for in Web2 social media, is to maximize users. They really shouldn't matter. It's really all about content and what you're putting out. The idea is to help isolate and essentially draw a social graph, not like isolate like certain communities at all. It's like, in fact, I misspoke when I said that. The idea is that like your main drive shouldn't be just like, let's maximize as many people as we can get to. You know, we shouldn't put out content that's specifically catered to just get, you know, exposure, to get views, right? You should put out quality content. So to break down a couple of the like premises of the actual protocol itself, is you have your profile NFTs, which is the main primitive. It's composable, it's non-custodial, it's permissionless. You have publication NFTs, and this is like the lifeblood. This would be like all of like your normal content, right? Like your posts, your comments, mirrors. What's really cool here is that the publication NFTs can actually link to decentralized as well as centralized servers. So, you know, IPFS or even Amazon Web Services, right? So it's pretty cool. It goes in between. And there's also follow NFTs, and that's exactly what you would think of like with a Twitter follow, except with these follow NFTs, you're actually able to program rules into the actual follow itself. And just as an example, this is a monetary example, but there's a lot of other like use cases outside of just a monetary example. But let's say that you wanted like to charge 5 Matic for someone to follow a specific like post of yours. Like, hey guys, if you want to come to the party, you know, follow me, you know, pay the NFT price, and you get the NFT, you can come join. Like, that's a really cool use case. And there's a lot of other, and I'm making that up off the top of my head. There's a lot of other use cases which have nothing to do with money, of course. But the fact that you can program rules into an NFT, that's pretty, you know, it's pretty great, especially when it comes to like the social sphere and what you can do from it.
Yeah, there's one thing on here that's in particular that I see stick out to me that is a huge benefit of Web 3.0. I don't see it totally detailed in this page, but this was what they were talking about when they initially, you know, kind of leaked the vision for this online. Which is one cool thing about Web 3.0 is that like whenever you're a user, right, you're a user of the entire network itself. You're not just a user of the application itself. So like if you go to your, you know, if you get on a blockchain and you've got a wallet, right, and that wallet is your user identity. And your private key is like your password, your public key or your address is kind of like your username. So the implications that has for social media is that if at the end of the day you're building protocols, right, that could power multiple applications inside of social media, then essentially your social graph or all your friends could transfer from one application to the other, right? You don't have to have like a distinct social graph on Facebook and Instagram, right? Like it could just all be the same thing. Now I know that's a lot easier for Facebook, Instagram because they're owned by the same people, but like Facebook and Twitter, there's no overlap there, right? So you could take all that and you could also choose, like I follow the people on Facebook and they automatically go into Twitter and I'm just going to take off the ones I don't want, so there's lots of possibilities. Censorship resistance is a huge aspect of Web 3.0 social media. People talk about deplatforming, transparency. People don't like algorithmic curation of news feeds because of exactly some of the reasons Walsh was talking about earlier. There's all this arbitrariness from human judgment and what, might appear in an algorithm versus not, whether there's actually a bad actor behind the scenes, like, actively promoting or suppressing things, or if it's just simple human bias that trains the algorithms themselves, right? Like when you go to Twitter and you see a certain topic trending, how do you know that's actually trending, right? There's a lot of trust associated with that, right? So there's a lot of problems for Web 3.0 social networks. I want to talk about one more thing, Walshy, before we wrap up here today, which is what's going on with Apple Pay, because I think there's another big step forward for crypto adoption. Was there anything else like really sticking out on this social media thing we need to cover before we go to that?
I'm just ready to see what it looks like. I'm really excited about that, to move away from Web 2 social media and see what like real Web 3 is. But yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. So let's get into this Apple Pay thing. Let me pull the story up on my screen here and you can give us the details on this. Let me just get it here.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So essentially, Apple announced that Apple Pay will accept crypto payments. So Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple, he confirmed crypto payments with Apple Pay. If you guys don't know, they've introduced a new feature to Apple Pay, and it's called Tap to Pay. It basically operates as like a point of sale machine for merchants to allow for payments, right? But of course, and it utilizes NFC tech, which stands for Near Field Communications. I don't know if you've ever utilized this type of technology before. It's really quick, like really, really quick. Like tap, it's good. It's really awesome. First time you use it, you're like, whoa, right? So, anyways, what it'll actually do is this will convert all of the crypto that's used. So let's just say that you want to pay in BTC, for example's sake, it'll automatically process that in USD. Pretty straightforward, pretty great. And again, since it's a point of sale machine, this allows merchants to, again, accept crypto. And again, it'll automatically convert whatever crypto you're utilizing into USD. Now, I'm kind of assuming this next point, but I'm assuming that merchants could only accept like certain types of crypto. Let's say that you wanted to use BTC, but you didn't want to use like Ripple or something. There might be like caveats there, but maybe not. Again, with the way that the platform's built, maybe it won't even care. And there's no kind of like filtering process to say, hey, you can't use a Monero, right? Like you can use whatever you want, and it'll just convert it into USD. Stripe was announced as the first platform to feature this. And again, Tap to Pay, it's what it's called. You should be seeing this pretty soon for Apple Pay. There was no definitive timeline yet, but again, Stripe will be the first ones to unveil it and roll it out. Yeah,
so the question here is, does it let you store crypto on your device? Do we know about that? Like, where does the crypto come from when you're paying?
Yeah, so exactly right. I believe that I don't want to say this definitively. I'm not 100% sure if Apple's also like unveiling a wallet to go along with this or not. I'm assuming though that the Apple Pay feature is going to have some kind of like wallet feature built in, whether or not it's a unique wallet that they develop themselves, or if you can connect a wallet to it, whether it's a hardware or like MetaMask. But that's a really important question, especially because you just don't have crypto floating around, right? It's got to come from somewhere.
Right. Yeah, totally. Okay. So we had a couple of the chats, a couple questions in the chat here. We'll answer some of those and we'll roll off for today. So let's see here. You see
I think the implication of this is huge for business.
Yeah, the implication is huge. I mean, this is we've seen lots of big tech be apprehensive about supporting crypto products. And this is just another sort of like drop in the bucket for, I don't want to say drop in the bucket, because that's a metaphor that makes it sound like it's not very consequential. I'm kind of mixing metaphors. I don't know if you ever read like Tipping Point by like Malcolm Gladwell or something like that. The whole idea is that like all these little things add up together, and the entire book is like, examples of how, small changes and then the aggregate of those changes can cause a massive shift over time. So, it's sort of like this is one of those.
Yeah.
This is one of those things. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's just like, yeah, it's also just a data point in witnessing the sentiment change over time and proof positive, in my opinion, that we're just on a crazy technological trend. We saw that story yesterday from Wells Fargo likening crypto adoption to the late 90s. We've seen that talk for a long time in crypto. It's sort of like, okay, when are we going to exit the 90s? Late 90s internet, but their implication is actually that we're about to enter into a hyper adoption phase. We've seen lots of stats talking about crypto having the same number of users as the internet in 1998 and growing twice as fast. So if all those points are lining up, that just stands to reason.
Yeah, exactly right. Well said. Yeah, that grocery coin we're talking about might be real very soon. You go pay for that.
Yeah. So let's see here.
Is DApp Bootcamp up to date with DeFi protocols?
Yeah. Yeah. We'd show how to build a DeFi application inside of there. Let's see here. Where do you suggest the gas or transaction fee would deduct from when using Apple Pay? That's a good question. I'm gonna guess it's gonna. You're probably gonna have to pay the fee as the user. That's just kind of standard crypto UX.
Is it possible to learn Web3 technologies in some state universities?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure there's some universities out there. My overwhelming sense from talking to people is that most higher education programs are way behind on this.
I can't say definitively because I don't know specific courses, any colleges that offer them. I'd assume the answer, though, is a very strong yes there. From my own personal experience, prior to this endeavor, I was building a startup that worked with like private schools, and we were offering technology. And in my courses, I basically met a bunch of like directors of technology from schools and stuff and talked to them. One of them actually let me know, and I'm not going to reveal the school name, but they were mining crypto and offering blockchain developed like coding classes for their sixth graders. Right. And so this is just an anecdote, right? And this is an example from my own personal experiences. But again, there was a private school that was offering blockchain courses. I can't imagine that like universities also wouldn't be on the same, playing field. I'm pretty sure that they do. But again, that's speculation, not definitive.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no clue. Most of my anecdotes have just come from people who have told me they've particularly like they have sought my help in education because they couldn't get it at university. So that's sort of like maybe the pool of people that I hear from the most. So that's all I got for today, guys. As always, smash that like button down below, subscribe to this channel. If you got any stories or things you want to hear about on the streams that we want to talk about, definitely find Walshy on Twitter. His handle's right there. I am Walshy NFG. He'll be able to respond to your messages and keep up to date with everything that we're going to, prepare for our stream today. If you're excited about this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, really just jump into the deep end, master this technology step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.